call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee meeting. It's Monday, September 19th, 2022, and we have a quorum. So I'd like to ask someone to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, first item on the agenda is the Fall League request for proposal. So we're going to ask a representative from each of the league proposals to come up and do your pitch. And then the board will have questions, and then we'll ask the next one. So will a representative for the Mid-South Ball League please come to the podium? State your name and address for the record.
Hey, I'm Felicia Mays. My address is 570 Blakemore Drive, Laverne, Tennessee.
All right. And just do your pitch, and then when you're done, the board will have questions for you. And I don't have a 3-minute timer, so you're good.
Okay, awesome. Well, first question, have you all seen the bids yet? Do you
Yes.
have copies of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much, we've stated everything there. The most important part that I wanted to highlight, and I kept an electronic copy, trying to save paper here. So let me just pull this here. The Mid-South Ball League was formed this summer after our work that we did with the Tennessee Strikers. So they were the former league representatives for the city of Laverne. And after their contract was pulled, a lot of us had worked together on the coaching side and the concessions, just all the people that we had pretty much pulled together decided that we wanted to continue to build what we had already started building, to grow it and to make it, something that the kids were proud of, that we were excited to go to. So we formed our league, and we sent in the paperwork to request all the changes. Michael and I talked extensively. Michael was the former president and owner of Tennessee Strikers. We talked extensively, and he agreed to step down and essentially just, let me run the organization. So that's what I've done. So I filed the paperwork. We've created a board. We, of course, have our plan in place, and the amazing board behind me, minus just a few people. They had football and cheer tonight. So these people are in our community. They are working with our kids already. They are in other sports, and they have vested interest here. They want to see something amazing happen. And I really think we had a great start to that last year while working under the Strikers, even though that had a bit of a tainted name. But Michael is no longer there. We have changed the name. I am now running the league, and our board is here to represent and, just cheer us on. So that was the biggest thing, is that we wanted to make sure anybody and everybody that was here representing the Mid-South Ball League was also vested in our community. We wanted to be out there. We have requirements for our board members to make sure they serve so many hours. We have plans in place to overcome some of the things that were problems last season. So I think that, with that said, we understand the importance of bringing something back that is respectable, is just something to be proud of for the city. I can go into detail. I can go through each slide, but you guys have it there. We're very excited about the possibility to serve our community, to build and grow something, and to continue to build those ties and strengthen them. So I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. I'm going to open up the committee for questions.
Course.
So if y'all don't mind, I just had a few questions. So I'm looking at the request for proposal that
Yes.
the city of Laverne, so you picked this up, or?
Yes, we
got
have,
email
yeah,
for it?
well, I don't have it, I have it electronically, yes.
Okay.
We have all the files.
So in your packet, I'm not seeing, so I was just kind of curious, just wanted to ask really quick.
Yeah, of course.
I don't see a number of forms that they asked to be included, as far as like your 501c3 status
So we have, okay,
and
so,
bylaws and the rules governing your league, those type things.
okay, so we have those all listed. So the rules governing would be our, the NSA and the BPA rules. So that's what we're gonna follow. Those are on the back slides. The 501c3, we included the EIN number. The 501c3 will have a confirmation attached as soon as we hear back from the Secretary of State. So it's been filed. It's just they said it can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks at minimum. I don't know how much longer, they're gonna take to have the name change and the, I think they list it as owner of the league. So all that is in there. The coordinating paperwork to that won't come in that says Mid-South Ball League until they have the approval. So we're running with the EIN number right now until we have that final back.
So you do or do not currently have insurance with your league?
We will have insurance as soon as, if it's approved, we have our sponsorships ready to be able to purchase the insurance and things like that. It's just, it can't be confirmed with I can't go in and give them the money to purchase the insurance until I know that we're actually going to file the league.
Gotcha.
So that's just all that is. Yes.
If I could just jump in there real quick, I think when this proposal went out, I think it was opened up to nonprofits and for-profits. I don't think it's 100% specified. So if that hasn't come through or in their process of that, I wouldn't put a whole lot of weight on them not having that at this point. I think if they were to file for a nonprofit and get that, I think that just makes things a little more manageable, or the oversight is there. So when we opened it up, it could be for either one. So I wouldn't want, don't base any decision on them not having that at this point.
So if I read this correctly, who writes up the contract? Would that be the city or would that be the leagues?
Well, we would come to some happy medium as far as games and tournaments and then present that to the board.
But I'm saying in the proposals,
In the proposals, the paperwork that they were to submit would give their outline of how many games, tournaments, fees, uniforms, stuff to that extent, age divisions, how they saw things moving forward in the future. As far as the contract goes, once it gets signed, we would hammer out the number of games and tournaments. Obviously, as a Parks Department, it'd be hard for us to grant 12, 18 20 tournaments. It's just undoable for us.
Right.
So we would have to come to that happy medium between the organization and the department.
We did list a schedule in there, like a kind of just a synopsis of how we would run a schedule, based on the tournament or based on our umpires and things like that. So just a quick little idea of kind of how we see it running. I do have my schedule coordinator here if you had additional questions about that. Each person has their own extreme specialty that we're working on, and that was something that we made sure that we were passionate about. Each of our board members have extensive and exclusive work, volunteer hours, or just event planning, organizing in each of the categories that they are over. So that is in there. Like he did say, though, we would be happy to go, back and forth and be like, all right, well, we could do this, we couldn't do this, as far as like tournaments and games and things like that.
gotcha.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
One of the things, of course, I coached in the springtime.
You did.
Yeah, so one of the things that parents were questioning is why isn't the press box working? because they would always ask, what's the score? The girls would ask, what's the score? And so, do you and your group have any plans to get the press box operating again so that we can have the signs
That is
out
on
there?
my list for, contract talk. What we were told when I came in there was that it was an advanced press box system, meaning that if you didn't really have training or know what you were doing, you could potentially ruin it, and it was a very expensive system. I don't know much about it. I know my fiance ran it a long time ago, so he was trying to explain to me if I really wanted to get up there and do it, he could walk me through it. I don't know much about it though, so that would be something that David and I would have to work together on to make sure that, the lights are good, because I know those are expensive, that, the boxes are running right, but we absolutely want to have that up. I think that's an important thing that I did push for when I was in there this spring, that I did not get leeway on. Not from Parks and Rec, we just didn't have the time or manpower to do it.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was just wondering, we've got a few RFPs here, responses. What makes you different? I know you haven't read the other response.
Of course.
But what do you think makes you different?
My son has been playing baseball since he was 3. He will be turning 8 in February. I have been in Laverne every season for baseball. I have seen it go up and I've seen it go down. When I was approached at the end of last year to potentially run, the leagues, it pulled on my heart because this is where we live, this is our community. Everybody wants to see something amazing happen here because we have great fields. We have great people to take care of those fields. They've always looked good, they've maintained standards, but if you don't have the right people in there, it can go downhill very quickly. And we want to see something that everybody is proud of. We want to build it back to something incredible and amazing. I was there for every game, most practices. Me and my kids are in there. Not to mention everyone on our board. And so to build something up from nothing and want to make sure it continues, so much so that, we reach out and make our own league, which something that none of us had ever done before. But we wanted to make sure that you all, as a city, and representatives know that we were serious about making it incredible, making it something that the kids are excited to see and things like that. So I feel that Mid-South Ball League will have an extreme vested interest in not only building up our league, but continuing to build community relationships and to have engagement with businesses. And I feel that there could be so much more trickle down in a good way if you brought us all in, because we are all here for the long haul.
And you've got skin in the game, right?
We do,
you got
yeah.
kids in
Yeah, we do. We all have kids in there. If it's not nieces, nephews, our own children, if it's, kids that are our neighbors that we bring along each time, it's everything. So it's a lot of fun to see those faces every time and have the kids run up to you and be excited to see you and, just making sure that you have a true heart for what you're doing.
Okay, any other questions?
I've got one, and now I'll pass it over to Andrew. He may have some. As far as your umpires, are you pretty much staffed on those, or is that a staff that you've used in the past?
It is the staff what we used in the past. So have you met Randy before?
I have not. No,
Okay,
ma'am.
Randy is our UIC, he's the umpire in charge, and he has been at the games for as long as I can remember. He's the one that will staff the umpires under him, however many we need. I worked with him exclusively last season on the schedule to make sure that the schedule we put out coincided with the amount of umpires we needed, because some games, if you guys all recall, there's 12U teams that need 2 umpires. There's T-ball teams that don't, we don't keep score at all. There's, this and that. So we do have a UIC that is willing to come back. I've been in contact and in touch with him since the spring season. As far as getting additional ones, if you all had any leads, recommendations, anything like that, I could definitely pass on the information, because I'm sure, if somebody can't make it one time, that's, whatever we needed to do. But we would definitely be open to making sure we had enough. But he's done a really great job at keeping us staffed last season.
And then I am not sure I saw this in either packet. I saw the sign-up fees for each league. And we're gonna ask this of both organizations. Would you guys be opposed, or would you offer an early bird sign-up?
Yes, we will definitely. I want to say was it like 90 or something? Yeah, it was $10 off to do that. We also have, if you recall in our packet, we also are doing a sponsor a child part. So part of our community organization and our sponsorship coordinators, when they bring in those additional funds, we will have a sponsor a child kind of thing, where if you've signed up and cannot pay your whole fee, we can pull from that pool, if you will, and cover the rest of that child's cost.
I do have a question. Since this is basically a new startup, do
Yeah.
you all have a plan as far as equipment for the kids? Since
I
there's
retained
literally-
all equipment from Tennessee Strikers. I took over the
Okay.
entire thing.
Okay. Because most kids don't have. Some kids don't come in. They do not have gloves.
Correct, yes.
Bats,
So-
helmets, balls, stuff like that.
Absolutely. So I have all the donated equipment that the Tennessee Strikers had on hand. I also have all the stuff that they purchased previous. Literally my name was put, in charge of everything. So I do have all the equipment. As far as anything goes, if we don't have enough for the kids, or if somebody can't provide one, we also have a plan to make sure that that they have what they need to be on the field. Last season, I had the coaches carry an equipment bag with additional bats, additional gloves, and additional helmets. Those were all donated items that I kept, make sure they were in each bag. And even if a child showed up and forgot something, that means they couldn't play because they didn't have the right equipment. Well, that was crossed off the list. So they will do that again this season. I think it's important because, if they don't have it and they're still there to play, then we're gonna make sure they play.
So I see in the original packet, I was just kind of scrolling through here, there is a question, and I don't see it in your proposal, but there's like a list apparently that the city gave out of questions
List, yeah.
for each. And on number 18, it says, will you agree to pay the city's annual league use fee of $8,000 to cover the field maintenance costs, which includes field dirt, safe coat, conditioner, chalk, mare mound, or any other field needs as required? As a new startup, is that something?
Yeah, and it does say that we have until the fall to make that, after the fall season, to make that payment. But yes, that is in our sponsorship coordinator, already has people lined up to put a donation towards those payments, yes.
Okay. And then apparently there's also tournament fees
Correct.
involved in here. So you think by the fall you would be, or spring, we are in the fall, that your
fall of
league
next season, yes.
would be able to cover these things that the city is requiring?
Yes.
Or asking?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Felicia.
You're welcome, thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to ask Universal Sports League, Inc. to come up. Please state your name and address.
I'm Julia Vestal, 103 Evergreen Cove in Laverne.
Okay.
And,
Just do your pitch like what
I
Felicia
know,
did.
right? Okay, so Universal Sports League has been formed since 2007. We originally started with girls' youth volleyball, and we had no facility in Laverne, so we do use the school, Rock Springs Elementary. And we also have been running basketball since 2010. So we have things in place as far as like some of the things that it had spoke about, grievance policies, sponsorships, taking care of fees, forming, the foundation of forming the league. So in this questionnaire with baseball, the experience that my board has is we have officials, and then we have our Universal Sports League already governing body that we have used for the past 15 years. So what we are proposing is that we will start with, you guys have the forms, but we want to start with the number of games, but we also want to increase as we hope that participation increases as well. And we want to, so we want to have the tournaments in order to be able to help out with the fees of the kids, help out with field maintenance, and then not have tournaments so that we can have the rec ball, so that all focus is on rec ball, all focus is on the kids, and then have in the off-season part of it, have tournaments, which that's just gonna help raise money, which will be put into the fields, put into whatever equipment for concessions, like you said, press box. I mean, if we need a fresh coat of paint, then we're gonna do that. We'll have some people out there to do that. And we have our org chart together with the number of people that we feel need to be like the governing body of the league. And let's see. Our focus is the kids, and we've done it for so long that we don't know any other way but to focus on the kids. And I'm glad we have a fence, because in basketball we don't, and I'd love to have one so that parents can be on the other side of that fence. But here's our officials staff too, Mid-South sports officials, and they're also part of our governing body. And I guess that's it. Do you guys have any questions?
I have the same question that I asked to Felicia about what makes you different than anybody else? I mean, what makes you stand out? Why do you think we should choose you?
Choose us because we want to be here for the right reasons, and that's for the kids. We are organized, and we're very detailed in our organization to where we are good with communicating with not just each other, but our coaches. And we have repeat coaches, repeat players, currently in basketball. Now, baseball is a different story. I did, at one time, coach with the former Laverne baseball softball organization, so I know how their structure was and how it is now, and how we would like to see it back to some sort of substantial number of kids like that. Because there's kids in Laverne, a lot of kids, on this side of the highway and on the other side of the highway, and that's the side that I live on. And we would love for all of them to come right here to Laverne, not go down the street to Smyrna, not hating on Smyrna, we love them.
Right.
But we want our kids in Laverne, because that's who they're gonna go to school with. That's who they're gonna see on a day-to-day basis. So that's what we wanna do, is just bring the community together, focus on the kids, and run a good program.
And I'm going to ask my question that
Okay.
I asked Felicia at the press box. I read in your proposal that you have plans to get the press box operational,
Well,
work on the equipment, or,
sure, and I don't know what the equipment currently looks like,
I
the
have no
status of it, how it was 10 years ago. Now I know about that equipment, and there was nothing wrong with that equipment. You just had to be trained to push a button. And you know how to keep score and know how to keep it right, and that's a good thing, because we are all about training, all about assisting everybody and making sure everything's covered. So it's not just let's send a little kid up in the press box to work it. No, that's not our rules. And I think in our rules we also have that people need to be 16 years and older, and that's just because that people will respond better to adults handling the business.
Okay. Any other questions?
We may have some equipment in the press boxes that's not operational, whether they're score panel heads or some of the scoreboards. We wouldn't expect any organization that comes in to have to repair that, so that would be the city's responsibility to make sure they're up and going once they come in. Yeah, we would have to take care of all that in-house, getting that repaired and getting new score units.
I just know it was really important.
Well, and it is,
so-
because a lot of, those things, if they stay plugged in and lightning hits anywhere, it's liable to run up that cable from the scoreboard to the
Right.
score head unit itself, so. And it's just simple stuff to overlook, to unplug this and unplug that and make sure everything's turned off, so. But as far as the equipment goes, we wouldn't expect either organization to come in and right off the bat have to put out money for score heads. We'd
Oh.
take care of that.
Yeah, I was just, I was wanting to know what their plans were to try and work with you all as the Parks and Rec Department to get the scoreboards operational, because it helps when the parent is there keeping the book, and then there might be a discrepancy between what, and then we can, talk to the umpire, and then, you can look up at the scoreboard also, so.
It
Right.
would probably cause a frenzy when the score is not changing, and everybody's like, change the board, and it makes
Oh, yeah,
it-
that happens.
it makes
Well, I
it
do know
really-
how to keep score, and I do
Yeah.
know the rules in the score is that
Yeah.
each team should keep their own book, and that the home team is responsible for the score.
Right.
And if there is a discrepancy, yes, we definitely want to solve that discrepancy. So,
Yeah.
but what's on the book not matching the board, that would just be somebody needing to
Fixing it.
yell up to the press box, hey, give a score.
Yeah,
No, that last score didn't run.
Oh, yeah.
That run didn't count because he got out over here. Yeah.
and it just helps with the parents also, instead of, them asking the person who's
Absolutely.
trying to keep the book, and then, got parents asking and stuff like that, so. And I appreciate y'all's answers on the press box and stuff.
Well, I think that would be all too in a matter of training, because
Right.
scorekeeping is not as simple and it's not as hard as people think. When you look at the book, it is overwhelming and it can become intimidating to where no matter what you think you're gonna, oh my gosh, look at this book. But once we break it down step by step, then it's relatively quite simple.
Right.
So, but as far as the press box, on a long-term basis, what we do want to do is be sure that all the equipment is running. So we want to, if we were to be granted the proposal, we want to start with the foundation and have some tournaments, raise some money, get that money into the fields, into the press box, into whatever needs to happen with the concession stand in order to get everything up and running so that we can function.
Okay,
Good.
and then just to clarify on tournaments, you stated they would be during off-season of the rec ball. So
Right.
there would be no scheduling conflict.
It would not be overlapping, so we would focus on the rec league for the duration of that. And then we would have tournaments prior to or after the rec ball season so that we can raise money for operating costs and
Awesome.
keep those fees low,
Okay.
help
All
those
right.
parents out. And I know the main thing that we need funds for is equipment. I mean, as earlier stated, there are kids that can't afford a baseball bat or a glove, and the glove is essential. We can
Oh,
always
yes.
borrow somebody's bat, but the glove's essential to have your own. And it makes a kid feel really good when they show up to the field and they got their own equipment. That's a little empowering to them, gives them that little bit of confidence.
Yeah, my grandson is in baseball in Nashville, so, yeah. And then I've coached, like I said, I've coached, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I coached too,
Yeah.
girls fast pitch softball, big
No, not
girls.
that fast,
Because
no.
when I was here, we had the girls up to age 17 and 18.
Oh, okay.
So I had the big girls. and all that comes with the big girls.
All right. Okay, any other questions?
Andrew, you got anything?
I don't think so.
No, you guys have had the packets. I think everybody picked theirs up. So, I mean, you all have had an opportunity to look at them.
Yep.
So the recommendation that we take before BOMA is gonna be y'all's. You can look at both packets and see, obviously, that one provided more detailed information that was pretty much asked for in the RFP. So, I mean, we will, if you guys don't have any more questions, I think where we go from here is, if you guys want to discuss it amongst yourselves or discuss it with us, and if we can shed any light on it, and if not, if y'all are ready to make a motion to recommend one of these organizations to go before BOMA for approval, then I think that's our next step.
Okay. Any other discussions? Do we want to discuss?
Think so. I mean, it's pretty laid out here, and we've heard what both have to say. I'm very impressed by both, and I am very appreciative of the eagerness of the community to come together to make sure that we can get this league up and running, and get the kids engaged.
Okay.
Do we discuss amongst ourselves first before we make a decision right now, or do we make a decision just right now?
Well, that's, I guess.
This is our discussion right now.
Well, what we would like to have, what we would prefer is to have a recommendation from the Parks Advisory Committee that we can take before the Board of Mayor and Alderman at next Thursday's workshop, so they could approve one of these organizations at the October meeting. So whoever gets awarded it, that would give them time to start gearing up towards spring signups.
Right.
Okay.
And I think, I think the longer we delay, it's just gonna put whoever comes in behind the 8 ball that much more.
Right.
Okay.
Well, receiving both of these packets and speaking with everyone and going through and looking at the proposals, while I appreciate that you have electronic version, I would have liked to have seen it like what I have here. It's very detailed, it's very laid out as far as every single thing on the checklist is in here. There's attachments, and they're here. And I think we picked them up, I guess, right after the cutoff date on it.
Right.
So we've had plenty of time to go through and look at everything that the city asked for, everything that was submitted and sent back. And so, I mean, if y'all are
Yeah.
ready,
I'll call for-
then I think, I would like to make a motion to recommend, what was this one again? Universal for the, league.
Do I have a second?
Usually
We're
somebody wants
making
to
a
beat.
motion to
No,
recommend.
usually
this
somebody
one
beats
is-
me to it.
So I made a motion to accept Universal to take over the
Yeah.
league.
Yeah.
So we need a second or not?
I'll second it. Sorry.
Sorry.
I just, like I said, usually everybody wants to beat me to it.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Favorable recommendation for Universal Sports League Incorporated to go before the Board of Mayor and Alderman workshop.
Yes, ma'am, we will have that submitted to them in the morning then.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for your time. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. If not, we'll give y'all a minute to exit. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming out on a Monday evening. Okay. We're going to turn this over to Andrew for the Fall Ball Clinic.
So we held our first fall ball clinic last Thursday, and I believe we had approximately 75 participants. They all had a great time. We had 3 different baseball fields used and 2 softball fields at the back complex. I believe there's, how many, 30?
I think there's
39 girls for softball. We had 6 6 to 12-year-olds, 29 T-ballers, and roughly 12 6 to 8-year-olds. So our next clinic will be held this Thursday evening at 6 o'clock. We still are accepting kids to come out and practice. It's going to be held for the next 2 weeks. The first week of October will be,
Sorry.
the first week of October will be no clinics due to the fall break for schools, Rutherford County school system, but we will have it the week after that, and then that following Saturday, the 15th, I believe, October 15th will be the fall ball finale. We plan on kind of doing some pizza and ice cream for the kids, let them do a little scrimmage, so give them a good time. But yeah, we definitely had a good turnout. We are still accepting kids, so if they want to come out, we recommend anyone bring their kiddos out.
And we still have enough shirts?
We do. We had a bunch of kids that did not show up that had pre-registered, so we still have shirts, so we're good to go.
Yeah, I was out there with T-ball, and it was great. And then when I got done with T-ball, I walked over to the softball fields, and Sonny has them rocking and rolling over there. I was very impressed.
And
So
we do want to thank Brent Turner. He's kind of spearheading our baseball side of the efforts. And Sunny, she's the coach with Rock Springs Middle. She's spearheading the girls softball, so we definitely want to give a shout out to them and appreciate their efforts.
and the volunteer coaches.
Oh, most definitely. That without volunteers, we could not even do it as a city. So
It was they were out there, and I mean, and it was when I walked around after the T-ball, every field was active, and the kids were active, and the kids were engaged in. And I know that on T-ball they get distracted, so you would have to be a quick thinker with the T-ballers to keep them engaged.
Yeah, I needed to go home and take a nap after dealing.
David, you did awesome.
They'll wear you out, man. We found out, we scheduled it from 6 to 8. We found out about a little after 7 o'clock, T-ball was pretty much check out. So we tried to wrap that up by about 7:15. And about 7:30, everybody else on the baseball side was pretty much done. I think softball, they finished a little after 8. I think she may try to shorten that this week, just because 2 hours of nonstop is pretty tough on all them kids.
All right, but 2 hours is a good time frame because it lets the coaches and the kids focus on one thing like 15 or 20 minutes, and then they can go to something else.
each field does have like specifics that they go over. We have a lineup each night. We go over several different sections, so hitting, fielding the ball, batting. So the kids are working basically on the fundamentals. So hopefully, come springtime, they'll be ready to go for the new league.
Yep, all right. And it is, and just to reiterate, registration is still open, so go on and bring your kids out. Have some fun, a couple hours on a Thursday night.
Yep.
Kind of wrap up the week. So, thank you. Old Timers Day Festival, Miss Kathy.
I guess I felt like it was a success. I guess it's on here for any other discussion on y'all's opinions, how you felt it went, any suggestions for next year?
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I, spent most of the day with the seniors, at their pavilion. So I felt like everything went the way it should have went.
I think there's a couple things that we struggle with as a Parks Department every year, and we haven't really figured out what to do to make that successful, or even if we can. I think one is the music. We've tried several different things. We've tried different acts, different genres, different locations for the stage. It's been at probably 4 or 5 different locations throughout the park, and the end result is the same no matter what the artist is. So we're kind of at the point right now where do we continue to throw money at something that we haven't been able to fix? And that's we'd kind of like y'all's feedback on that, because I know y'all were at the concerts.
So you think it's not worthwhile right now?
I don't know. I don't know if it's worth,
What could we take our money and it'd be more valuable to the citizens than spending money on music acts that are not well, I guess, people don't come out and view them as much as we would hope, where could we put our money and create a better value for our community during Old Timers?
And kind of like the two, like Friday night and Saturday night, they were good acts. But like Saturday night was probably our bigger crowd, and to be generous, we probably had 200 people there. So we're kind of struggling with that because we don't understand, because those same acts will sell out downtown, Third at Lindsay or Hot Springs. They'll sell out 2 or 3 shows that are $40 a ticket, you know, and we're providing something free and we can't get the people there.
So what is like the genre of, or the diversity of our music? It's all like, I know it was Journey, Fleetwood Mac, and Egomaniacs the last 2 years, or this year and last year. Maybe we don't need 2 nights of it, but what if we do like, maybe R&B or Motown or reggae or something that because we have a really diverse city, right? We've got
Yeah, and
various.
we're at that too, you know, several years ago, I can't remember how many, it's probably been at least 5, maybe 6, that on that Friday night, we kicked it off with a movie on the football field, and the field was
something different.
packed
Yeah.
on that Friday night. So we're kind of looking at
fun.
different options, because it was like, we're just throwing this money away and nothing's sticking yet.
Right. I like the 2 different choices, like having a movie night and then a concert night. Because then you get the family, well, you get families on both nights, but I think we just need to kind of change it up a bit and see who's in our city and what kind of music do they listen to. Maybe we need some, you know, rap music and stuff, you know, who knows? If we can find, you know, a tribute band that does that kind of stuff. You know, or just not even a tribute band. It could be somebody's just their own music. You know, somebody up and coming. Who knows?
Yeah, I like the movie night on a Friday night.
I like that idea too.
Because our movies in the park a couple of years ago, I mean, they were, you know, packed. So, you know, do an opening night and then a concert on a Saturday night. And I know that we were trying to look for a Motown or a Prince tribute band.
Yeah.
Maybe next year, you know, we look at that for a Saturday night type band. And then Chuck and I were talking, when Old Timers Festival started, they had banjo pickers and stuff. Maybe not on the stage, but maybe see if they could be part of where the animal display and stuff was. See if they could.
Various locations.
Or
around
you
the
could
park.
have them, I mean, they're easy to walk, maybe have them walk and pick, you know, around in front of the vendors, you know, do something like that also, you know, just,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that there's probably some banjo players in stuff within the city of Laverne that, you know, we could reach out to, you know, just something to bring back the old timers part of the event.
Well, just any string instrument. I mean,
Yeah,
even
any
if they
string
just,
instrument.
even if they just had I don't know,
A
I'm thinking
fiddle.
like a booth or something where they show the kids how to play.
Yeah, you could do that too, you know,
You know.
just start kids out, you know, with an interest in an instrument too. You know, that sounds good.
So I wasn't really able to leave my tent, but was there a lot of people at the concerts that you put on during Old Timers or no?
I didn't see anything during the day. I
So
was
then
walking around.
maybe we just let that go because people are more interested in the vendors and the food and not so much that.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
then we
we'd
find
almost
something
have to,
else.
because the opening act at 11:30 was probably one of the better country acts that we have ever
Yeah.
had up there.
I mean, I enjoyed all the music. I mean, but I wasn't sitting out there, and I think part of it was too, you know, I don't like to be in direct sunlight,
Right.
you know, like that. And that's all there was just direct sunlight.
Yeah, I don't like it like that.
Yeah, so there's several things we're trying to rethink and maybe take a different direction on, and that's one of them. The other is probably the parade for us. It's gotten to be so large, I don't know if we have outgrown it. And it takes so much manpower. What people don't realize is there's just about every city department is taking place in that parade. So that's something else we want to look at. We don't know how to approach that, if we're going to continue with the parade, or are we going to start limiting the number? You know, we had 200-something horses in there.
Yes, I know.
That's an extreme.
I was kind of shocked by how many horses showed up.
Yeah. So I
There's
don't,
a
you
lot of
know,
horses.
that may be something for us over the course of the next couple of months to
What's
discuss.
hard about it? Is it just kind of keeping them in line?
I think we're just out of room and the
It's out of space.
Oh,
manpower.
space.
Space.
And if we run into a wet old timers festival, it's almost impossible to have the parade because we do not have parking. We are virtually out of parking.
That's
Because
why
when
we
you
bring
bring 200
dealing
horses,
with
when you bring
Christmas.
200 horses,
Yep, yep.
you're looking at 40 to 50 dually
Trailers.
trucks with 30 to
trailers.
40
For
foot
them alone,
horse
yeah.
trailers, and we're already having to use the Roy Waldron School to park them, and so that's a difficult part. But when parents need to drop their kids off and stay, or they're riding floats, we do not have parking at City Hall, so that's one of our big issues there.
So maybe we need to
First come, first server.
find something new to kick off old timers.
Well, that or just limit the size of the parade, like you were saying.
Right.
Yeah, I
There's
don't
just
know,
like
you
so
know, 'cause
many
we
of
turn
each.
around and we have the night parade at Christmas time, so do we want to keep both parades? Do we want to get rid of one and focus on the other?
I think I'd rather have the Christmas parade. If I had to pick, I'd rather have the Christmas parade because it's at night and it's lit up and you have Santa Claus. Whereas the other one,
Well, the festival has so many other components in that day, so.
right. And so, I mean, sometimes, you know, after you've sat through the parade, the people go home. They don't necessarily come to the park. So maybe we focus more on getting them up to the park and, you know, celebrating Old Timers Festival and not so much the parade.
Yeah, and the Christmas parade at this point is way more manageable for us as a department and I would say as a city. It's nowhere near as large, and I don't ever see it drawing the 200 horses that Old Timers Day does. I just don't see that.
Wonder what the difference is for the horse folks.
So, I mean, that's something, you know, for you guys to think about over the course of the next month or
I
two.
wonder.
I mean, I will say Saturday, you know, I drove my vehicle for somebody in the parade, and I was shocked how many people kept dropping off horses and horses, and I was just like, you know, how many horses are we gonna have in this? I mean, like, it was just a massive
There's gonna be
amount.
horses.
And when they register, they don't register for that many, so
Yeah.
it is hard to know until they show up what
Yeah.
you're going to get.
And,
Well, that's why you gotta tell them, kind of, give them a max, or,
Well,
Well,
yeah.
that doesn't work very well.
yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know, I saw people coming the other way, like they were coming the other way from the parade route. You know, they were coming down. You know, I guess they parked and wanted to come back at the end, so they were going down the wrong way for the parade. Did y'all notice that?
Yeah, registration date cutoff doesn't work. A time to show up on Saturday morning does not work. Limiting your number of horses does not work, so.
And it's already stressful with the festival, getting the vendors in and getting everything.
Well,
set
it was
up.
more, this down here was more manageable this year because I think it was more organized. We had 5 of our staff down here, 5 park staff, that we could have used at the park because we're struggling up there also. And, you know, Box 100's there. You guys are limited on resources. Our volunteers are limited, so we're kind of stretched to the max that morning. So, yeah, I don't know, it's something for you guys to think about too. Maybe we'll discuss it some more over the course of the next couple of months. And I don't know if that would be a board of mayor and alderman decision, obviously, if we were to decide to, maybe that's something we didn't want to move forward with. You know, we're just putting out feelers since it's fresh in our minds.
Well, I think if you're going to lose the parade and save some money and not have the band during Old Timers, then what do we want to focus on? What do we want to put that money towards? What do we want to do differently? Maybe something more for the kids?
I would like to focus on more activities. We could get a lot more activities for,
Yeah, because I saw the little train. That was super cute. That was super cute. Maybe we spend this next year focusing on something more for all the different age groups of the kids. And because there's a lot of them in the parade, but then after the parade, they're going home, they're in costumes, what have you. Well, let's have something to keep them at the park, something just for them.
Yeah.
And there's another event that we have talked about amongst ourselves, and I see we got a little time left, so it shouldn't take up much. And we have talked about, we've mentioned to other city employees just to kind of get some feedback. There's an event that we would like to try to do. We don't know how soon, but we would like to start planning for that, is maybe maybe partner with a local church and kind of host a worship night or a faith night. Kind of similar to what the Experience Church did in Murfreesboro a couple months ago. They shut down the square, and there was probably every bit of 5,000 people there. I think there's a need here. I think that would be popular. I think it would go over well, and it may be one of our better events. So we haven't really talked to the higher ups and get their feeling on that, but that's something we're kind of looking at.
What time of the year would you think about doing that?
Probably May, somewhere in May maybe. When we're talking about bringing in some artists that would, have some appeal on like Christian radio today.
Yeah.
There's several of them around Nashville. Quite a few of them live here. Some of these bigger churches, bring them in on a regular basis and rotate them. I think we can make those contacts here. I think we may have some people on staff that have some contacts in that industry that could at least get us going in the right direction.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
So, okay, we got something to work on. Sounds great. And you guys, once again, y'all knocked it out of the park. You and the staff, please pass on to them. We
not
still have some saggy eyes.
It's not an easy task to pull off, that's for sure, so you
Well,
guys
and
are.
I told somebody today, if you come into the park and you see something out of place, you're gonna notice it. But if you come into the park and you don't see anything out of place, then that's not gonna be that noticeable to you. And it wasn't very noticeable because I had comments all day today that it was clean. There wasn't a whole lot of trash around, so the staff did well about attending to that. Had many compliments on the staff being courteous, willing to help. And yeah, I think when you don't have to remind people to do that, and that's just their nature to go out and help people without question, yeah, we're fortunate.
It
as a
makes the job
city.
that much
Yeah.
easier, that's right, that's right.
Yeah, so, and the rest of the city employees that helped out, I mean, it takes a village to put on an event as big as what Old Timers Festival is, and then along with the other events that we do throughout the year. It does take a village.
Yeah, and we could start naming people, but we'd leave some out, you
Oh,
guys,
yeah.
Boxing
Yeah,
100,
that's-
Junior ROTC, the
Club
list-
Knockout did the
Knockout,
inflatables,
Club.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
there's,
everything went
yes,
very well.
it did.
Very well.
And a big thank you to the city of Laverne for the Old Timers Festival, because it is a good event for the city. All right, any other comments from the board? Any other comments? Okay, our next meeting will be Monday, October 17th, 2022 at 6 PM. And it's 6:53, and I adjourn the meeting.